this morning, a lot of discussion has been on China's economy. And the government has recently announced a series of stimulus package.
Yes.
What's your assessment of China's economy?
I think that the stimulus packages will be helpful in boosting confidence and then perhaps stimulating demand to the extent that the money will be spent, and then there'll be some multiplier. But I think inherently at this phase, China's economy will grow slower than it used to. It used to grow 8-10% a year, sometimes even more than that. Now, if you can sustain 5% per year for another 10 years, I think you are doing well. And there are fundamental reasons for that. First of all, you're already more mature. It's not so easy to keep on just transforming yourself. Secondly, the labor force is not expanding anymore. The total population has peaked. The working age population has also peaked. It's leveled off, probably starting to come down already slowly. And so you can no longer just have a natural expansion of the economy. Secondly, I think with the external environment having turned less favorable, there's geostrategic tensions between China and America, even between China and Europe. And so that external environment is not as favorable as before. The foreign investments need more encouragement to come into China. The export markets are not as open as they used to be. So that is another factor which influences China's, not just the growth, but also the upgrading and transformation. Thirdly, partly in response to this external environment, I'm quite sure, but also for domestic reasons, I think the Chinese government's priorities have shifted some. In an earlier phase, the slogan was 发展是硬道理. Economic development is the topmost priority, is the hard truth. But now economic development is very important, but trumping that is national security, and I think equaling that at least is domestic political considerations. So in that situation, I think the environment for people to spend, for the environment for companies to start up, for big companies to build new businesses, I think will be more cautious. It's inevitable. So the government will give reassurances that they do want the private sector to have an important role. They do want entrepreneurs to have confidence. But the national security considerations are important. The political considerations cannot be ignored, and that has an impact. So these things, I think, will weigh on the Chinese economy, in addition to the specific economic problems, for example, dealing with a housing overhang and the construction problems, and the financial problems which come from that, for example, the debt.
So should we be pessimistic or optimistic?
Well, I think it is very unwise to write off China. I mean, this works in both directions. The Westerners say, we will do this, that, and the other, and China will stay down. I tell them you are wrong. They don't fully believe me. When I go to China, and sometimes the confidence with which my hosts expound their views cause me to tell them, the Americans have a lot of problems. You can see all of the problems. But they have a lot of strengths, and sometimes you can't see all of their strengths. And they are not going to disappear, and they will be there and formidable, I think, for a very long time to come. And I'm not sure whether they fully understand why I'm saying this. But I think on the Chinese... So I think both sides have this danger of underestimating the other. But on the Chinese side, there are some reasons which we can be confident that this is a country which is going to be there for a very long time. First of all, it's already been there 5,000 years. But even the factors which hold it back, for example, the fact that this population and workforce is not growing, are not things which have to bind and to paralyze it. The population may not be growing, but you can make better use of the population, the workforce. China's retirement age is very low. Women at 50, men at, I think, 55. And it's going to be adjusted now. The government is shifting it. Women going to 55, men going to 60. It's still quite low. But even that adjustment is not easy to make, and it's going to take them, I think, until about 20 years to achieve. So if you can stay productive longer, if you can stay active longer, if you can make full use of the women, 不能顶半边天, and therefore they should not retire early. So that is one major source of growth capacity. Another one is the rural population. China has been urbanizing very systematically. Every year, about 1% of the population, 15 million people have been moving from rural to urban, to the cities. That means from the agricultural sector, from farming into the cities, manufacturing, providing services, maybe they're construction workers, but moving from the more traditional economy to the modern economy. But still, 35% of China's population is rural. And if you look at the developed countries, their farming population is like 2-3% of the population. That's all. So China's process is not complete yet. It's not, you have to work to make it carry on and to make it productive. You have to have jobs for them in the cities. You need to have hukou for them in the cities. You need to have homes for them in the cities. You need to provide for their kids in school. And you also must have agricultural reform so that it is possible for them to make use of the land which they have been farming and maybe lease it out to somebody or sell it to somebody else, consolidate, become bigger scale, more productive, and take that and go into the city and make a new life in the city. But these are all ways in which China can continue to grow. So that's the first reason I think we should not think that China has peaked. Secondly, I think in many areas, China is actually world-class. I talked about EVs, I talked about solar panels. Yes, there's overcapacity. Yes, there's state support, and that has maybe has given the companies an extra advantage. But in fact, there's a lot of very advanced and very high quality technology and science in the EVs, in the batteries, in the solar panels. And that is a big reason why the costs have come down and why the Chinese products are so competitive. And so it shows the Chinese can do it. And furthermore, which is my last reason, I think the Chinese people are quite determined to do it. They've seen what they can do. They have seen what other countries can do. And in some areas, they know they need to catch up. And when the Chinese say 站起来, 富起来, and 强起来, I think that determination is there, and it will cause them to move forward and to see through any difficulties there may be. So I have reasons for confidence, and I'm hopeful that the reasons for confidence will outweigh the signals for concern.
朋友都知道我是很挑剔的，防晒乳我选 Kiss 皇家呵护抗光清爽高防晒凝露，因为它有媲美蓝光神盾的抓藻植萃，保护我在阳光下延缓肌肤老化，维持青春弹力，可以防御工作环境里的 3C 商品，各种光源对肌肤的伤害，擦起来清爽不黏腻。我特别喜欢它做到海洋友善。365天，天天抗光抗老化，是我的保养日常。你呢？ 呵护您、呵护全家人，专属你的 KS Royal Care 抗光清爽高防晒凝露。